So from November the 20th, Warframe is now available on the Nintendo Switch. To welcome these new players into Warframe, Digital Extremes have sponsored me to make this early beginner's guide. Now if you're new to Warframe, don't worry, I'm going to break down some of this early information and I'm going to keep it as basic as possible. But just take note that Warframe has a serious amount of depth to all of its systems. First up, we're going to take a look at your choices of beginner Warframes, what they're good at and how you go about modding them early on. Mag is our magnetic based Warframe, Excalibur, who is our exalted blinding Warframe, the poster boy, and Volt, who is an electric based frame. Each one of these Warframes is unique in their very own way and very powerful at late game with the right setup. But you're new to the game, so survivability is priority for you until you can get all of the mods that you need in order to make these powerful builds later on. But as an example, here are some very basic builds for each one of these Warframes. Now, as you can see, the builds are pretty much the same on each Warframe with an even balance of stats, and that's because to refine these Warframe setups, you will need mods that won't be as easily accessible early on in the game. But the mods in these builds are pretty much the go-to mods for nearly every Warframe in the game, so aim to get your hands on them. A Vitality mod, Redirection, Stretch, Streamline, Intensify, Flow, and Steel Fiber. But again, like I said, survivability is your key. As a bonus, I will leave a link to endgame builds for each one of these Warframes in this video's description if you want to check out how powerful they can become and what mods you need to aim towards getting later on. Now, Mag is all about controlling the battlefield. She can strip armor and shields of enemies, she can crowd control large groups as well, and deal a moderate amount of damage with her crush ability. She can also magnetize large areas so that she traps enemies inside a bubble and then attracts all of your bullets into the center of it, killing the enemies trapped inside. But she is probably the most fragile Warframe out of the three beginner frames. Now, Excalibur, like I said, is the poster boy for Warframe. He can dash through enemies, he can blind them once they're within his line of sight, which then opens them up to increased finisher melee damage, and he can summon a large exalted sword of pure light that also fires an energy wave every time you swing it. Excalibur is the tankiest of the starter Warframes. He can take the most damage. Now, Volt can be built for speedrunning missions, you gotta go fast. He can be built for massive crowd control, where he will release a wave of electricity that will then arc between all nearby enemies and keep them stunned. Or he can be built for his shield, which he can pick up like a riot shield in order to protect him from incoming damage. Now, I don't really have any downsides for Volt right now. He is an incredibly good Warframe. Now, next up is the starter weapons that you get to pick along the way of the tutorial. You get the Mark 1 weapons. They're not great, but don't worry, you can replace these weapons very, very fast. You will have to choose between an assault rifle and a bow as your primary. Both are good choices, but I'd go with the assault rifle personally just for ease of combat, unless you feel confident enough to use the bow. Bows are projectile based weapons and they do have a slight arc to the arrow as you fire it. Now, the secondary weapons you get to choose between is a set of throwing knives or a pistol. Both are good, there is no bad choice, but the knives, like the bows, are projectile based and they have got that arc to them at range. For your melee weapons, you get to choose between a Scanner sword and a Mark 1 bow staff. There is no bad option. Staff has slightly more range, but you replace both of these very fast, just like your primary and secondary that you pick up as well. You could switch that primary assault rifle out for a stun shotgun that you can get in the market, or the normal version of that assault rifle that is slightly more powerful. For your pistols, you could get the normal version of those throwing knives, the kunai. You could get the Furis or even the Sonicor if you can manage to get your hands on it. For melee, you could basically go for anything. Again, you're going to be upgrading these weapons very, very fast as you progress through your mastery rank. Now, next up, let's talk a little bit about that mastery system. It is essentially just your account level. That's basically what it is. As you increase your mastery level, much more powerful weapons and Warframes will become available to you, as well as a set amount of mod capacity on base level items. Now, in order to level this up, you will need to keep leveling weapons and Warframes, maxing them out, as well as progressing through the star chart and clearing those junctions. Now, whenever you level a Warframe all the way up, when you max it out, or a companion or an Archwing, you will gain 6,000 mastery to your mastery rank. Weapons will give you half of that, so you get 3,000. You only gain this mastery once. You can choose to level a weapon a second time around by putting a former on it, but you don't get the mastery, you get different benefits instead that I'm not going to go into in this video. Now, if you're looking for a more in-depth information on how to mod weapons, how it all works and frames as well, your star chart progression and where to get new gear from, what new gear to aim for, then go check out another Warframe partner by the name of iFlynns, which channel is also linked in the description of this video. From my community and of course from the Warframe one at large, don't be afraid to ask for help. It is an incredibly friendly community. Welcome Tenno, enjoy the ride, and as always, thanks very much for watching.